Okay, so the other night I got a text from my mom at like 1 a.m. and she was asking me if I had ever had someone grab my foot while sleeping in bed. Her husband's sick, so she moved into my old room over the last few months. Apparently something has been grabbing her foot in bed. My mother isn't the one to embellish or be dramatic. She has to be sincerely freaked out to reach out and ask me that. The freakier part is I had several times while sleeping in that room and I didn't remember until she asked me. I had just chalked it up to me dreaming or something, wanting it to be just in my head. I sleep on my stomach and I'm taller, so my feet hang off the bed. And I remember something pretty forcefully grabbing onto my ankle and yanking it fairly hard. Mom's pretty distributed by it and she doesn't need more stress on account of the sick husband. You guys have any idea what it might be and how to stop it? I'd appreciate any advice or insights. A little backstory: if anyone has missed my previous story, my great-grandparents owned a good amount of land in Oklahoma on some Indian land. We aren't sure what significance this land has, just where Native Americans lived at one point, burial ground, etc., but this is where their house was. I have two somewhat similar stories of this. I will update when I get the facts more streamlined from my mom and grandma for the second story. I feel like whatever this entity is has kind of been following my family around ever since. My mom has had similar things happen to her, and now I'm having some stuff happen to me. For the sake of this story and my sanity, I will refer to my great-grandfather as Mark and my grandma as Carol, who is the youngest in the family. Carol has a very large family. I can't remember the exact number due to multiple dying at birth, but there was a ton of kids living in this house. Mark was, to put it nicely, an alcoholic butthead. Carol and her siblings were outside playing around and moving their mattress so they could sleep outside. It was the South in the USA and this happened around the summertime, so it was hot. They were being kids, so there was a lot of giggling and loudness coming from the outdoors. Mark stormed outside very intoxicated, with an axe, and basically told them to shut up and started to mock them, laughing. I'm sure there were some not so nice things said just based off what I heard about him. He walked back inside once the siblings agreed to keep it down. Enough time had passed so they know it wasn't just an echo they were hearing. Deep in the brush past the house they all heard Mark in the same tone, saying the same thing, even down to the giggle. The kids got freaked and just ran inside to make sure he didn't go outside to spook them. They found him inside sleeping in his recliner. This happened when I was younger, probably about 14 years ago. I was at my friend's house, two sisters. They were part of a Wiccan family and they and their mother regularly used a Ouija board in their home. I spent the night one time and the sisters asked if I wanted to use the board. Being incredibly skeptical and basically doubtful, I said yes. We start using it, say hello, talk to someone or something, then we close out. We start again, we start talking to someone. We ask for its name and the board spells out the name Becky. My mom's best friend and a very close family friend that my sisters and I considered an aunt was named Becky. She had died of cancer about a month before this happened. So I'm wigging out a little at this point. It's a little blurry now, but at one point and I took my hands off of everything and thought of a question in my head: what's my middle sister's middle name? Which is Hope. The board spells out Hope. It's important to note I didn't say anything out loud, and at this point, I did not live with my sisters. My friends had not met my sisters and they did not know her middle name. After this, I am really scared. My skepticism is firmly shaken. We close out the conversation with the final question, asking if it has any messages before we go. The board spells out tell mom hi. I have told other people about this experience before and most people look at me like I'm crazy, but it happened and it was terrifying for me at the time. I guess I'm looking for validation. Has anyone else experienced anything like this or have any thoughts on the entire scenario? Tia.tldr, Ouija board answered my unspoken question without my touch. It was my mom's friend. Looking for insight and validation. Sort of a longer story, so my apologies in advance. I had this experience about 5 years ago in Death Valley, California during a military training exercise. My unit was conducting our month-long pre-deployment training at NTC, the National Training Center. And we were 2 weeks into it, and it was roughly day 3 of 7 of our actual field exercise. Oregon, the field as most U.S. military personnel call it. For those that don't know, the field is when you actually go out into the training grounds and simulate combat, and train as if you were really deployed. This helps your unit to be prepared for the real deal. No sleeping, lots of physical labor, getting attacked and whatnot. It really is an awful, but also fun time all around. Like I mentioned, it was about day 3 or so, and my platoon was positioned several kilometers from the action/front, as we were an artillery unit. So we were relatively safe from any enemies where we were. During the day we were busy providing artillery fire for our friendlies, and moving every so often to prevent being pinpointed by the enemy. But as night came, our forces halted their offensive, and so we weren't receiving any missions and we weren't changing positions. This break in action and movement finally gave us the time to get some well-deserved rest before we had to get back at it again in the morning. We couldn't all just sleep at once for security, and to be ready in case a call for support came in, so we all took turns pulling guard duty, which cycled through everybody, allowing everyone a couple hours of rest, while maintaining readiness. I had been up for over 72 hours at that point, with a little 10-minute nap here and there. I remember being 4th on guard, so that gave me roughly 4 hours of sleep. I decided to sleeping on top of our rucksacks in the back of a Humvee trailer, as it was the only place to lie down. It was not comfortable, but as soon as my head was down, I was fast asleep. 4 hours later, my squad mate woke me up for my guard shift, and I swear it felt like I had just fallen asleep. I was mad, but once I got up I was surprisingly awake and refreshed. I grabbed my gear, and headed for our vehicle. We were using a M992, which is a big, tracked ammo carrier, as a command vehicle. It has a hatch on the top that you sit in and look out of, and from there, you are sitting 12 or so feet off the ground. It gives a nice 360 view. We also had night vision goggles up there to see, as it is super dark in the desert at night. All in all, a pretty nice setup. This is where my experience happened. It was about 20 minutes in, and I was enjoying looking at the stars, the mountains, and the beauty of the desert at night through the night vision goggles. As I was looking around, something in the distance caught my eye. At first I saw movement, but when I focused the night vision on the area I saw something strange. Initially, I thought it was a trash bag or tarp blowing in the wind, but the more I got the night vision focused, the better I could make it out. It appeared to be a cloaked figure, walking towards me at about 200 to 300 meters away. It looked like the stereotypical depiction of the Grim Reaper. I could see a hood, but no face underneath. It even had one arm out to the side like it was holding something, but I couldn't see anything in its hand. Then I realized, it wasn't walking, it was disappearing and reappearing farther ahead. It appeared as if it was teleporting 3 or so meters ahead every second. It honestly looked like someone was lagging in a video game, but in real life. It would also occasionally teleport a few meters to the left or right, so it wasn't walking in a straight line. I even rubbed my eyes and looked away and then back, and it was still there, silently moving through the barren sand dunes. I was scared, and completely confused. My brain raced to come up with an answer as to what it was I was witnessing. Before I could think of a rational explanation, I moved my eyes away and back one more time and it suddenly disappeared. I tried looking all around me, but it was gone. The whole event lasted maybe a few minutes. I didn't want to sound like I was crazy, so I didn't say anything. Anyways, when you get back from the field at NTC, you go to a mock base called Ruba to put all your equipment away and load it on trains to be shipped back along with your vehicles to your home base elsewhere in the country. During this time I learned that every time a unit goes to NTC at least one person dies during the training rotation. No one had died while we were in the field, which is the dangerous part, and the part most people do. It was smooth sailing from there. So everyone was kinda relieved, thinking we would go home safe for once. However, a soldier from another unit died in Ruba when we got back from a traumatic accident, and I was part of a group that was involuntarily volunteered to clean up the mess that was left behind. I was so upset, but luckily it was just bloody bandages and medical supplies. But sad and creepy nonetheless. After the cleanup, I was thinking about my experience again, and part of me thought what I saw somehow correlated to the death, because the whole Grim Reaper thing. I still honestly don't know what to think of what I saw that night. I have never seen anything like that before or since. There were no friendlies near where I saw it, and the nearest unit was kilometers away at the time. I highly doubt one person would have just walked out in the desert away from everyone else, and like I said, we were far from the enemy. I also can't explain the sudden vanishing of the figure either, as the desert is empty and barren, so nothing to hide behind, and I would have seen something or someone lying down. I was alert, not tired because I got to sleep, not hungry and hydrated. I don't think it was my eyes playing tricks on me either. Again, sorry for the long story, but it's been on my mind for a long time, and I just wanted to finally share my story to people. Maybe someone can give me an explanation. Thoughts and feedback are more than welcome. After my breakup, my ex and I didn't communicate for over a year. During that time, I got really into meditation, lucid dreaming, and astral travel. It got to the point where I could vividly visualize things in my mind's eye, but most of the time the scenes were really mundane, like flashes of people just living their everyday life. One time, I had a vision of my ex sitting in an unfamiliar apartment. In the vision, he was sitting on an L-shaped couch, watching TV or playing video games. I could see the kitchen behind him, and what caught my attention was that the living room layout was a bit different from the norm. In my experience, the TV is usually directly across from the couch, but in this case, he was sitting diagonally to the TV. I almost dismissed it as just a dream because it seemed like such a boring and ordinary image to see. Fast forward a few months later, my ex and I reconnected, and he invited me to see his new apartment. When I walked in, I was shocked to see that it was exactly like the one I had seen in my vision. He even sat in the same spot on the couch, diagonally to the TV. It was uncanny. I didn't mention my vision at the time because I was freaked out and didn't want to weird him out either. Meeting after not talking for so long was already weird enough. Interestingly enough, as we talked, he mentioned putting a black privacy screen on his balcony, which looks into the living room at the exact POV I saw, because he felt like he was being watched from the pool area outside. I couldn't help but think to myself, yeah, if you only knew. Haunting. 2 months ago I started working for a single mother. She has 2 young children ages 5 and 8, and works as a very important doctor at a hospital, so she is at work majority of the time. I am a live-in nanny and am here always with the children. Weird things didn't begin happening right away. The first thing that happened, I didn't think much of it. Both the children asked me to check their bed and the closet for the monster. I thought, yeah, whatever, kids are scared of monsters. Then they both ended up asking to sleep in bed with me in the middle of the night. They said the monster came. I woke up one night and saw what I thought was a figure standing at the foot of my bed. Blinked my eyes, it was gone, blamed it on lack of sleep. Things will be misplaced, blamed it on the kids. Then things started happening when it was just me home. I was downstairs washing dishes, and I heard running upstairs. I went to check it out because I had gotten the kids off to school, and my boss was at work. No one was there. This happened many different occurrences. Always around same time. Things began happening I couldn't debunk. I took a shower one day, home alone. In the fogged up mirror, a smiley face was drawn. I've been doing something in the house and I'll hear someone talking in the other room. No one was there. I've heard a very scary voice call out of name. Several times. Final straw, I think I've finally seen the monster. I began having horrible nightmares for like 3 days in a row. I woke up 2 nights ago, and felt something tugging at my blanket. I thought it was one of the kids, and then I saw in front of my eyes, a figure appear, and grow larger and hover there, looking down at me. This is the first time I've ever saw it. I am terrified. I've never experienced paranormal before, I'm clueless on what to do. I was a skeptic before this. This is a whole new even thought to me. If anyone has any ideas on what to do or how to get rid of it, I'd love to hear. Or even what this is. I don't want to leave my job, I love these kids and the pay's great. Please some help. Desperate. Hello, I'm new to the group. I can't tell you how many times that I have been home alone and hear my sister or other family members call for me in the hallway or the next room. The first time it happened, I heard my ex-BF call out, "Hey babe," from the kitchen, a week after we had broken up. And I knew that he wasn't in my house. Scared the crap out of me. Since then it's been ever so often, but different people. Not sure what to do about it, but I don't respond and act like I didn't hear anything, lol. So I woke up this morning to let my dogs out. And the side of my fridge is pointing towards the back door, so whenever I let them out and turned around, it was like a fresh handprint, almost the same as getting out of the shower and putting your hand on the fogged up mirror, clearly bigger than my hand, and I took comparison pictures. Now it's just my girlfriend and I that live in our house, so this was definitely a bit spooky, considering we have not touched the side of our fridge in a while, especially with both hands like that. Any unbiased opinions? Recent history: I've had a couple of weird things happen to me. One time when I was headed to bed, I turned off the main light, and when I laid down, I reached to turn on my lamp. For some reason it just wouldn't turn on, so I eventually gave up and went to sleep. When I finally got comfortable, I had my hand under my pillow, and felt the light bulb to my lamp. I've also had clothes go missing, and just random stuff get misplaced. Not sure if this adds any evidence or what. I've been home alone while my family is gone and had a block of cheese, and when I go to the fridge it's nowhere to be found. It's Pepperjack BTW.
Looking for something to meet your photonic need? Redlight has laser diodes, remote-controlled rooms with lasers mounted on them, USB chargeable laser pens, rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, high-powered lasers that can ignite matches, cat toys. Hell, if you got enough money, they'd probably sell you a Jewish space laser. Welcome to Radlight. Point with precision, present with confidence. Visit us at radlight.dev. Tell them the Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge sent you.
Mosey on down to the Atomic Shaman Trading Post. We have t-shirts, decals, refrigerator magnets and other swag for sale. What better way to show your support for the show? Our merch can only be found on t.pub/lit/Atomic Shaman Trading Post. Like, share and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring the notification bell. You can follow us on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Catch the live streams on Rumble. Listen to text-to-speech stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube.